Hey, Previn, it's so nice to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
Good, thanks. It's great to be here, Elisha.
Beautiful, beautiful. And just like I mentioned earlier, thank you so very much for being here. You see, I truly appreciate it. And you see, Previn, yeah, oftentimes I love to thank my guest for two things. And I do this so often to the point where I think it has become my anthem. So, firstly, Previn, I want to say thank you for investing in yourself. You see, you are on this platform right here, because you invested in yourself. And oftentimes, Pervin, I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. You see, some months back, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside, there was this tall, unattractive mango tree. And I use the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it, and the leaves were all dry. So I just walked past it and I went my way. Yeah. But you see, Previn, just recently I was on that same road. And this time around, a lot's changed about the mango tree. You see, the mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance. And immediately I got the urge to move so close to it, of which I did, and it wowed me. Because now the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it, beautiful green leaves, and healthy branches. Oh, Previn, it was a beautiful and special moment for me that very day. I was so excited. I was very excited at the looks, at the beauty, at the transformation. It was amazing. Here is my point. The fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing Previn that you are today, that alone has made it really impossible for me to say no to you. You see, getting to read about you, your bio, I got attracted to the impact your work is having, your philosophies, your insight, and the beautiful stuff that you're doing, the solutions that you're offering. It's amazing. To the point where I
Thank you.
just couldn't wait for this conversation to happen. And now, yeah, we had it there with the amazing Previn. So thank you so very much
Oh,
for investing in yourself,
thank
and
you.
thank you very much for being here. Truly appreciate it, my man. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So, so let's get started. You see, I'm quite excited to have you on the show today for some reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. I believe in order for one to transition from a terrible situation to that of a beautiful one, Previn, I believe it takes the application of knowledge. And not just knowledge now, but the application of it. And you see, Previn, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge and darkness means ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very important to me and even to the listeners. And the second reason why I'm excited to have the amazing Previn on the show is for the sake of the audience. You see, Previn, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got a lot of information out there. So these folks trust me for quality, eye-opening, and very important information, of which I am totally convinced that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So for that reason, Pervin, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or professional journey, because right now we are so curious. We want to know how Previn got here. Then afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Previn, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Elisha, for that introduction. So, I am from South Africa originally. I have been living in Australia for about 3 years now, and I work in the mining industry. So, I am a chemical engineer by background. I work in the mining industry for about 20 years now. And I've been very blessed to work in the mining industry because it's afforded me a lot of opportunities. Because of my work in mining, I've been able to travel the world. I've worked in different parts of the world. I've also worked in the Middle East, and it's opened up a whole world of opportunities for me. So that's something that I'm very grateful for. What I do is basically help companies improve their processes. So I do something called process optimization. What I also do is process engineering and metallurgy. So metallurgy is all about understanding when you take something out of the ground, how do you actually convert that into a final product? So that's where I come in. Basically looking at how do we take something from the ground and turn that into a metal. And I think it's something that's very interesting. It's something that's very topical right now. And if you look at what's happening in the world right now, one of the biggest and hottest topics is critical materials. And a lot of people are talking about the energy transition and the fact that we need to move from fossil fuels to renewable energy. And in order to do that, we need to have critical materials. One of the biggest areas is batteries. So battery technology depends on a lot of metals. And some of the metals that are used in batteries are metals like lithium, for example, and nickel, and neodymium, for example. So part of what we do in the mining industry is understand where do we find these metals, how do we extract them, how do we process them, and how do we pass them down the value chain to actually make the critical minerals and materials that are required for the energy transition.
That's amazing. That's an amazing one you're doing, and I found that very, very inspiring and helpful. But I'm still a bit curious. How did you get into the industry? How was the journey like? Can you fill us some more?
So I actually became a metallurgist almost by accident. I studied chemical engineering, and I initially started off working in what we call utilities in pulp and paper. From there, I got an opportunity in a mining company, and I joined that mining company. This is many years ago now. The company is called BHP. It's one of the biggest mining companies in the world. And from there, I became very interested in metallurgy, very interested in the mining industry. And from that point on, I decided to remain in the mining industry. I could see how the mining industry is one of the most fundamental industries to the world that we live in. And I believe that there's a few industries that are core to human civilization. One of them being agriculture, and the other one is mining. Mining is a cornerstone industry, and it's one of the industries that often gets overlooked, and a lot of people don't think about it, but it's one of the most fundamental industries in the world because basically almost everything that we interact with on a daily basis is somehow related to mining. I mean, a simple example, cell phone, right? If you look at a cell phone, a lot of the materials that are used in making a cell phone come from the mining industry. So, in a sense, mining is all around us. It's in our everyday lives. There's so many things that we use in everyday life that are actually find their source in mining. So that's why it was something that I quickly developed a passion for. And it was why I've been in the mining industry for the past 20 years.
Amazing. And thank you for sharing that with us. And you see, I find people like you very interesting to listen to because your journey, your words are insightful. And that's a great one.
Thank
So,
you. Thank you.
yeah, let us get a bit personal. What is that one leadership challenge that you overcame or overcome?
For me, the biggest one, I think, is working across different continents. I'm from South Africa, so the first time I worked in a different country was when I moved to the Middle East and I worked in Oman. And that was a bit of a culture shock for me. It was a big change, moving to another continent, experiencing a very different culture, working in a place where people spoke a very different language. And it was a wonderful learning experience, I think, for me. It was something that I embraced fully. And from there, coming to Australia again was a similar experience in terms of culture shock, a different environment, a different culture, adapting again. So I think for me, working across these, having the opportunity to work across these different geographies and get exposure to different cultures is very, very important because it's something that has helped me grow as an individual, as a person. Just looking at how people in different countries actually live their lives, what's important to them. And what I found is that everywhere you go, people are the same. At our core, we are all the same. We care about the same things. We want the same things. But in terms of everyday life, there's a lot of differences. And I think it's very interesting. It makes life interesting because, simple things like the foods that you eat, for example. I actually enjoy going to live in different countries because you get to experience different foods, different cuisines. You get to experience a different rhythm of life. You get to experience different music, for example, and what people talk about. So I think it's a very interesting experience, and it's something that I've embraced fully.
And that definitely makes you put your leadership on this diversify angle where you are inclusive, understanding series of cultures. Get it? Okay, let us talk about ethical leadership. What does that mean to you?
For me, ethical leadership is all about doing the right thing. And that sounds very simple because often doing the right thing is, it's not that simple because you can be in a situation where you look at something and you make a judgment call and you think, this is the right thing to do, but it's actually not. But for me, ethical leadership is about checking in with yourself and having integrity. It's about really stopping and saying, what is my gut feeling about this? If you're in a position where you have to make a decision about something, you take a moment to pause and think about what you're actually doing and ask yourself, is this the right thing to do? How do I feel about this on the inside? What does my gut instinct tell me? Is this the moral choice to make? So ask yourself those questions. And as you do that and you apply it on a daily basis, you make it a habit. And that's how you build ethical leadership. And also the other thing that's important is being able to check in with others, to have sounding boards. When you're in a moment of conflict or doubt and you're not quite sure what to do, have somebody that you can trust, that you can call upon for advice, somebody that you can discuss the issue with and get input from that person, because that's how you can calibrate your reactions to things and understand how to improve as a leader.
Very profound and insightful. And I admire how you are explaining it in such a way that it'll be quite easy to understand. That's a beautiful one.
Thank you.
Okay, the next one is a very important one. How can companies, balance sustainability and profit?
So I think, that's an interesting question, but what I'm seeing more and more now is companies doing exactly that. And I think it's because, sustainability now has become, I think, the foremost issue across the world, right? If you look at, I saw a study recently, and basically the outcome of the study was that 5 years ago, people were focused on certain issues, and where are those issues now? So if you looked at the picture 5 years ago, sustainability was actually number 4, I think, on that list. And now it's actually number 1. And some of the other issues that people are focused on were things like, gender equality, for example, in the workplace, which is still very important, right? Still a very, very topical issue. And I think, just looking at the way sustainability has climbed up the ranks and become the primary issue, I think that's why you see a lot of companies actually making dramatic changes to how they run, how they operate, and really embracing that sustainability core as a fundamental value in what they do. And that's how I see companies actually creating that balance now between profitability and sustainability, is because the global pressure is on, but there's also global competition where companies are now trying to outdo each other in who's more sustainable.
Got that. Okay, we have one more question to go. All right. And thank you so very much for your time, my man. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, what lessons have you learned from handling sensitive projects? Can you share some with us?
Yes, of course. So with sensitive projects, there's a few that come to mind. One is projects where you handle confidential information from clients. So you have to, the first step to that is to create and put in place a confidentiality agreement. So that's the first step. And it goes by different names depending on who you're dealing with and the industry. In some cases, people talk about a non-disclosure agreement. In other cases, they talk about a mutual confidentiality agreement. But the whole gist of the agreement is protecting the confidentiality of information that's being shared. And I think that's the most important thing to do upfront is have that agreement in place, have that signed by both parties, and understand it very well. Make sure that you've got a watertight agreement in place. The confidentiality agreement is, for me, I think fundamental to starting the relationship on sensitive projects. And then the other aspect of that is, sensitivity is it's such a large, spectrum of things, right? There could be a sensitive project in that you might be dealing with community issues. For example, to give you an example from mining, one of the common challenges that you'll find with mining projects, especially where people want to build a new mine, for example, is that you have to understand the community that's around that area. You have to build a relationship with them, and you have to foster trust with that community to get their approval and to get their buy-in to actually build a new mine, for example, in that area. And that's something that you need to handle with sensitivity and care, because you're dealing with people who live in that area, and they don't want their environment to be destroyed. They don't want they don't want their environment to be drastically changed, for example. So that's one of the things that is a very, very sensitive issue. And it's something that I think needs to be handled very carefully. And the way to do that is to create stakeholder alignment. So you have to understand who are the stakeholders involved in the project, get everybody together very early on, and have face-to-face discussions with people. Win the trust of the people that's involved and the people that live in the community. And that's how you actually navigate sensitive projects with skill.
Now you just shared this powerful insight with us for free. Okay, that's a beautiful one. I got it. And I'll have to listen to our conversation again and again because he shared some very important stuff in this episode. So to bring this one and Previn, what would you like to leave the audience with, like a final thought? And to those folks who felt like, your words touched them, they got inspired, and they would love to reach out to you or ask questions or learn more about all the beautiful stuff that you're doing. How can that be possible?
Well, I think the first thing is, I'll encourage your audience to reach out to me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is where I'm most active. That's where my, most of my interactions happen with people. So please do feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn and follow me and learn more about the mining industry. I'm deeply passionate about it. And as I mentioned earlier on in the episode, for me, it's a fundamental industry because it's all around us in our everyday lives. So really, I want to encourage your audience, learn more about mining, learn more about how it impacts your daily life. And, to those who are younger and looking to do something later in life in terms of a career, please, by all means, consider the mining industry as a career option. I think it's a great industry to work in. And as I mentioned, I've been very, very fortunate and blessed in that the mining industry has afforded me the opportunity to work in different parts of the world as well. So I think it's a fantastic industry to be
in. It is. And I did not really know more about it before, but now I do. And that's the benefit of bringing an amazing person on the show. So that's going to be the end of the show. What's your LinkedIn handle? Can you share it? I would add it to the show note though, but you can just share it here too.
Yeah, so it's, I go as Previn Pillay on LinkedIn. That's Previn. And my surname is Pillay. Anybody who does a search, you'll find a few people with that name, but you'll easily see my profile because it mentions mining in my tagline.
Okay, beautiful. That's a smart one. So that's going to be the end of the show, Previn. Thank you for coming and thank you for sharing this beautiful stuff with us. It means a whole lot, my man. Thank you.
Thank you so much and wonderful to be on the show. Thank you.
That was a beautiful one, Previn.